What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another video. Welcome back to the channel. Before I begin, let me say thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Your support allows me to make more and better videos. Today, we're going to do something a little weird. I've got just an accidental collection that has built up over the years of one of Jabba's henchmen, and that is Klaatu. I just got back a mint on card example from Collector Archive recently, and I thought it might be a good excuse to pull out all the different Klaatus that I have graded. I've got some loose variants. I've got some bootlegs. I've got 2 mint on cards, and I just thought we would take a look at them all. Interspersed throughout the video, I've got some information on the other Cardback releases for Klaatu, as well as some information on the different variants that are out there for him. And I hope you find it useful. So, without further ado, let's dig right in. So, here are my 2 mint on card examples. I've got the regular Klaatu, and then I have this one that I've had for a long time, and you can barely see him because the blister is so yellow. That is the Klaatu in his skiff guard outfit. And what's interesting about this one that I just got back, this is the Palitoy tri-logo, and it is actually a miscard. It's got the regular version of Klaatu on the cardback for the Klaatu skiff guard. And I brought these two out here mainly because, even though these are really technically 2 different releases that came out at 2 different times, what's interesting about it is that, with a lot of Palitoy tri-logos, you can see that there's a difference in the cardbacks for the US version on your right versus the Palitoy European version. And so the card art is got a little bit zoomed out so you can see all of Klaatu's body, but this is one of the more common miscards for Klaatu. Not particularly difficult to find, but I just thought it'd be a fun pickup, even though it's not a particularly high grade example. I just enjoy, miscards and factory errors and things, and so this is a perfect example of that. So this is a no COO Klaatu on the incorrect cardback. So it's got Klaatu in a skiff guard outfit with the photo that we just talked about. Now this one's got quite a bit of damage up in the upper right hand corner. Some litho tears from where the price sticker was attempted to be removed by somebody. And so I did get it. I did pick this up. Thank you again to Matt H for the smooth transaction. And here is the label on it. And as you can see, it is labeled as a factory miscard Klaatu on the skiff guard outfit version. The card got a 70, the blister got an 80, and the figure score is an 85. So it came back with a 70 plus, which is right. This goes back to the video that I did a little ways back, and I'll put a picture of it, here right now, but about how the different grading companies grade mint on card figures. And that's a perfect example of that, where the card score was so low that it brought the overall score down to a 70 plus, even though the other subscores of 80 and 85 for the blister and figure respectively were 80 and 85. So the max it could really get was a 70 plus because it does have some pretty significant litho damage there. So you can see that right there. And then I think on the back, there's just some minor wear. You got a couple of creases in the back here. So this is graded correctly because it's got, a fair amount of wear to the actual card back. But again, this is my first vintage miscard, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to have. And as you can see, I had Collector Archive add the blister support to keep Klaatu in place. And a pretty cool item. And we're gonna take a closer look at my loose graded examples here in a second that show all of the different kind of fur combinations that I have in my collection, but also that are out there that I do not have in my collection, as well as some variations as it relates to the color of his limbs. But a really cool example. And again, this is the 70 back B tri-logo, a very common figure. If you find it on the regular card, or the skiff guard, the skiff guard outfit version, if you find not a non-factory error, one of these is not particularly hard to find or expensive. But you can see it next to the US version there. And just as a reminder, this one is heavily yellowed, as you guys know, but I got this one back a long time ago. This is the 77 back A, so it came back with an 80, 85, 85, a yellowed 80. So a pretty tough problem to find with either Klaatu version on the US cards is that they do tend to yellow quite a bit. Now let's take a look at some of the other different cardback releases for Klaatu. Here is a cardback matrix provided by Jedi Temple Archives with Klaatu's known US and Palitoy releases. He was available on no less than 12 different cardbacks and is one of the less expensive options for those collectors interested in picking up a mint-on-card example. I will provide links of all the source material in the description for this video in case anyone wants to look at the information in more detail. JTA also mentions that there are a total of 16 different combinations for the different color variations for Klaatu as it relates to his limb color. Klaatu came with either tan or gray limbs. I just want to mention that the total combinations are actually probably quite a bit larger when you factor in the different types of fur and belt used for Klaatu. We will dive into that in a little bit more detail later on in this video. While by no means meant to be complete, here are a few other foreign cardback releases for Klaatu. The Lily Letty version made in Mexico with either the Returno or the Regresso cardback, the Kenner Canada, and the French Meccano Klaatu are provided here. Not shown on this slide are the Sakuda Japanese import sticker version of Klaatu or the Clipper wraparound sticker, both of which were definitely released. So now that we've gone through that, let's take a look at my loose graded licensed examples of Klaatu. I've got a couple of wacky ones here, but I've also got some fairly standard ones. As you can see, though, there's quite a bit of variation with all of the different fur and belts and things like that. And I have fairly common ones. There's some others out there that are a little bit more rare that I'll go over in a second. But here are the different Klaatus I've got. This one is gray limbs, thin skirt, no COO. And so this is probably the closest approximation to the one that's in the Tri-Logo error card that I have. But a really nice example. This one's graded 80. Mainly, I think the main reason it got the 80 is because it's got quite a bit of wear around the actual fur part of the skirt. The figure itself is in pretty great shape. But a nice one. It was an eBay seller that had, I want to say 3 of them for sale, loose, ungraded, and it was like $40. And they were complete and in really good shape. And so I bought those and had them all graded at the same time. This one is the gray limbs thick skirt. And this is the Hong Kong variant. And this one got an 85 plus. So you can see how different the fur is on this one versus the no COO. It's darker on the no COO, and the actual thickness of the fur is quite a bit thinner than the Hong Kong version. Also, the limbs are a little bit lighter gray than the no COO version. And, but, you know, that's really the main difference. But it's just so many different combinations with the fur and the belts and things like that. But another nice one there. And then let's see, this one I had in my private, my own collection, just sitting in a shelf. And I sent it in, and I forgot to switch the skirt around. So this skirt is backwards, as you can see there. He also has kind of a thicker skirt, a little bit brighter fur to it. This one got an 85 plus, so neither I nor the grading company noticed that the skirt was backwards when it was graded. But this one got an 85 plus, so it's basically probably pretty much the same as the one that you just saw that was also an 85 plus. And let's see, right here we have, I think this is the molded face, if I remember right. Yeah, this is the gray limbs, gray limbs, thick skirt, molded face. So this is another Hong Kong example, but instead of painted face, this one is actually molded in green plastic. So look how dark his face is versus some of these others. So it's may not be that noticeable to you, but this one is the molded face, so it's not painted like these other examples are, but it's a little bit darker color to the face. And I mean, this, for a 1980s figure, the amount of detail in the face sculpt is just incredible. But again, a really nice example. Gray limbs, thick skirt, molded face. So very cool. I don't have any of the other variations as it relates to the limb color, and we'll go over that in a second. The final two. First, we have the Lily Letty. This is the most standard Lily Letty. Probably came on a Made in Mexico Lily Letty card, but all of the accessories are Letty. And so this one came back as labeled as Letty with the flat fur painted belt. And I don't know why they say painted belt. It doesn't look painted to me, but I guess it's got like a layer over top of the faux leather. It must have some kind of layer of paint on it. I don't know I don't know why they say that, but 85 plus was the grade for this one. Archival case. I think I got this one from Galactables or one of those companies a while back, but probably overpaid for them. But it's a really nice mint example though, and really pretty. Now the last one is another weird one, similar to what you guys saw in my Lando Skiff Guard video. This is another Frankenstein overstock Lili Ledy, where when the Made in Mexico factory of Lili Ledy was going out of business, they were just assembling overstock parts left and right in strange combinations. And here we have Neon Numb. I guess he's going undercover with a rebel cell to try to infiltrate the bad guys at Jabba the Hutt. I don't know. But he's got a Neon Numb head and on a Klaatu body. And again, this is a overstock Lili Ledy Frankenstein figure. Hybrid overstock. And this one is labeled as such. Hybrid overstock Klaatu body, Neon Numb head. And it graded a 70. So, you know, he's got some wear around the hands especially. And around the feet. Which is common again with these overstock parts. They were just kind of thrown in boxes and things, so it's in pretty rough condition. But I do have some other information as it relates to the limb colors, as well as some other different variations for the Lili Ledy Klaatu. As I mentioned earlier, Klaatu was produced with either tan or gray limbs, or some combination of both. The left and middle photos show a color comparison of the tan versus gray limbs. My guess, though, is that the tan limbs shown in these two photos suffer from some plastic degradation, because the color difference is usually much more subtle and difficult for me to tell apart. The far right photo shows a more common comparison with gray arms and tanned legs. The color difference is typically more like this and tough to differentiate. Going back 1 second to the Lili Ledy version of Klaatu that was made in Mexico, the right photo comes from the variant villain. As you can see, there are a number of different versions of the Lili Ledy Klaatu. The fur used in his skirt came in different thicknesses and material used. The belt on the skirt was also offered in a sort of faux leather, as well as 3 different woven cloth types. Finally, I thought that it made sense to go ahead and also show my Mexican bootleg versions of Klaatu. I've got versions of him in his regular Jabba the Hutt, Jabba's Palace outfit, as well as one in his Skiff Guard disguise outfit. And so of the 3 of these, the earliest mold is probably going to be this one, which is the extended shoulders version of Klaatu. This is molded in a hot pink. Man, what a crazy color. You can see the injection mark sites on his chest there. There we go. You can see the injection sites for the plastic mold on his chest. And like I said, these have these shoulder extensions that kind of come off the arms to make the manufacturing process easier, is my guess. And then he still has the factory sprue coming off of his arm. Looks awfully strange. Awfully strange. Dr. Freud would have a field day with trying to figure out what that is. But these are static bootlegs. They're not as popular as semi-articulated 1980s bootlegs, but this is probably the earliest mold of the ones I have. And again, it's unarticulated in pink, and he came graded as an 80. But this is Klaatu in his Jabba's Palace outfit. And I'm sorry that I cannot get the camera to stay focused. He's got all kinds of little textured details and little kind of hash marks on the arms, but very cool. These other 2, I would say, are late 80s or into the early 1990s versions. Again, we have this one. This is, again, with the Palace outfit. Very similar in color palette to the licensed figure. They always seem to add these weird mustaches on his face. I've certainly seen some without it, but and then he has the vibro axe. This is the later version of the vibro axe. I've got the earlier version that I'll show you in a second, but this vibro axe is kind of thicker and made in white. They came in little baggies off sprues. This one graded an 80 plus, but I personally would call this more of a 1990s bootleg than a 1980s. It is labeled an 80s, but I consider this to be more of a early 90s. And then this one is really wacky. This is Klaatu in his Skiff Guard outfit, He's got a silver face. There's all kinds of different colored variations for that. Now, this one I have encased with the earlier version of the Vibro Axe. It's a little bit thinner and in black. This is really probably an earlier... This Vibro Axe really belongs with an earlier version of this figure. This figure is more of a 1990s figure, and this one is labeled as a 1990s. It's graded 75. But this Vibro Axe can really go with earlier versions of this figure. Usually they don't have quite the wacky paint scheme, or they're unpainted completely without any kind of paint. But these later versions came with silver on the face and hands usually. And it's just a really strange looking figure, but kind of cool to have as part of the bootleg collection. That about wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed looking at all of the different wacky and wild Klaatus that are out there. He's just a little Jabba's henchman, but man, do they have a lot of different variants out there. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe for future content. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back soon.